What's up guys, this is going to be a different kind of vlog episode today. I actually wanted to show you a very interesting sports center of the cousin of my father, because it's a pretty good one, and I was training at this sports center on Saturday and later had a larger family dinner, and I actually wanted to show you that, but there was not really like a situation where it would have been like proper to film. So there's no real vlog for today's Monday. But I thought I would address another question, which also has to do with sports. In fact, my sport. Let me just look it up. Who asked that? Primax asked me if I could go a little bit more into detail about my sports, and he asked that on one of my last vlogs. So I would just address this in today's vlog. So today's vlog will be only talking about this topic. And first and foremost, to get this little disclaimer across, I'm not an expert. I haven't studied anything in terms of sports or something like that. I've just always been a sportive guy. I did triathlon for over 10 years. Started out with football or soccer for 7 or 8 years, and did triathlon quite competitively. And I've been just raised quite always to a very healthy lifestyle. So I always went there with my gut and with my intention, and with what is common sense, a little bit of research, and I'm always in exchange of ideas with my father, who's a doctor and who also has been quite successful in terms of triathlon. Not in his 20s or 30s, but when he was 45, he simply decided to become, to just try how good he can be, and he became vice European champion in his age group. So pretty remarkable, and that's where. So I also get a lot of insights from him, and this is just a little introduction to what my background is. And I will not go into like specific details, but more about like my own philosophy on how to practically do sports in your life, and which sports I would recommend, or which mix and so on, and that would just be the topic of today. So in terms of what my philosophy is, as a life engineer, and when I'm thinking about like sports in like in the big picture of my life, I think sports has to do like two main things. First of all, it has to make you feel good, has to make you vital in your everyday life. So you just want to feel energized every day, right? And so this is basically the short-term benefit of sports and the thing you want to get out of. And the second thing is, over the long term, you want to be healthy, you want to still be thriving, and you want to still be capable of walking, and you just want to be fit even in your 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even if you're 100 or 120 years old. And at least that would be my goal. So these are the two things. And so for me, when I look at sports now, I mean, I used to train very extremely on triathlon, where it was all about performance. But right now, sports to me is only about these two things. And when I look at it, whenever I make a choice in terms of sports, my first thought is always, is this healthy long term? So for example, in terms of triathlon, where I would always run like 10 kilometers or 6 kilometers, 8 kilometers pretty fast, that kind of hurts the knees, so it's not really stable. It might not be even too bad, but if you have not strong enough muscles around your knees, all this pressure with every step can very traumatically hurt them. So this is something where you want to care, and I feel like that is like the most important thing you should always consider when you choose your sport. And then secondly, my idea is always how balanced is it. So not only is it sustainable over the long term, but which parts of my body are getting trained in which kind of way. Because after I check like these first two things, does it make me feel good and is it sustainable long term, I look at is this something that's bringing more variety into my sports schedule, or is it just more of the same? So for example, I don't know, swimming every day would also to me be not enough of a mix, right? Because I believe that so for example, so I think it's the most healthy if you do it as balanced as possible. But also, like for myself, I have this kind of ambition to just be capable of like anything. So I want to sprint, I want to run long, I want to be capable of climbing things, I want to be able to box, I want to be able to swim, which I can pretty good because of triathlon. But that's my things. So what does all of this mean for me right now and what I'm currently doing? So some of you might already be familiar with my week Excel sheet, and here I always got listed like my my sports, and that is currently kind of my schedule. So on Monday I'm boxing, on Tuesday I'm swimming, Wednesday gym, cycling, gym, swimming, gym. And so you can see 3 times gym, 2 times swimming, 1 time cycling, and 1 time boxing. Why? The gym, let's start with the gym. Why do I go to the gym 3 times a day? I got this training plan. I don't even know if I'm allowed to show it because it's like, this might sound a little bit cocky, but it's from this sports center, and I don't know. So I think it's quite expensive to make these, but I got them from my father because he trained there, and obviously it's the sports center of his cousin. So that's not a problem for me, which I'm quite happy about. But I don't want to go into detail because I mean, like, these are like 5 sheets or something, and I'm maybe, I don't know, 30 exercises in total. And I don't even have an idea why specific things are good and why other things are not so good, or I don't know. But what this plan does is it trains a lot of parts of my body, so it strengthens it, and it's of course specialized for endurance. Because as you can see, I'm still a little bit focused on triathlon because I obviously make this transition from only swimming, only cycling, and only running, and a little bit of core training for the swim, which I used to do when I did triathlon quite intensely, to now a more balanced and more beneficial sports lifestyle over the long term. So this is basically like a plan that allows me to strengthen the muscles I need for swimming and running and cycling. And but of course in the future I want to go even more into a even larger variety. So that is the gym plan, and that's what it's about. So it has a high volume of repetitions and low weights. It's that's basically that. So I'm doing this 3 times a week to simply just to strengthen my muscles, which then allow my knees to feel less pressure, which will enable them to just perform over longer time and more decades. And then I kept 2 times swimming in my weekly schedule. Why? Well, swimming is something I'm pretty used to, so it's quite easy for me to go swimming. And obviously, it's probably out of running, cycling, and swimming the sports that's the most healthy, because you don't have like quick pressures to anything hard. It's everything in the water. And also, if you are doing different strokes, so breaststroke and backstroke and freestyle and all that stuff, you train almost the whole body, which is amazing. So that's why I kept 2 times swimming in there. For the swimming, I have plans like that. Those are plans. I'm probably not even allowed to show them, but like they won't even see that. So these plans are plans from the Bavarian Triathlon Squad, and so they are pretty good. They are of course highly focused on performance. So maybe they're not even perfectly for me, but I mean, I think you can't see everything perfect, right? You can just focus on improving everything you do, but don't say like, oh, that's not perfectly for long-term health, and that's why I don't do this. Like, just use what you have, and they are incredibly good. I mean, the people who are training after them are performing like crazy, and so I'm quite blessed with these 2 plans, because I basically have for 5 of my 5 sports sessions of 7 out of 7 for the week, I have like professional plans, which is amazing. And then cycling is basically you know what? Let's continue with the boxing. Why boxing? In the gym, I tried out a boxing course once, and I found it amazing. But it was a little bit too much effort for me to always drive there, and then also share the course with other people, because I always had to wait until they did their exercises and kind of that stuff, and it wasn't really time efficient. So something I can highly recommend you is to simply look up stuff like that on YouTube. Let me just search it for a second. So what I basically did here is I simply looked up in YouTube which kind of if there's any online program out there which you can simply follow, and which is just showing me how to box in a kind of way that's not necessarily focused on like hitting an enemy, but more like the fitness aspect. And I mean, the wireless LAN out here sucks a little bit, but it's basically this one I currently do. I don't know. Oh yeah, it works. I don't know if I can turn on the quality a little bit higher here. We'll just see if that's loading strongly enough. But anyways, this is just something I can do from home. You've seen it, 45 minutes. Oh yeah, just look at it. So that's the kind of mood setting, atmosphere there, and it's just something like I can do it quite simply. As I just said, 45 minutes. I change, so together with changing my outfit and showering, it might take an hour in total. So that is amazing. I mean, if I go to the gym, it all in all takes 3 hours, something like that. So that's something amazing. It's very different kind of movement. It also has a lot to do with just focusing, and so it also kind of trains the mind, because a lot of different movements, a little bit like hip hop, and that's why I do that. And then boxing also is a lot on the arms, so I train my arms 6 times a week. Of course, endurance, otherwise they would look with like a little bit more volume. But that's why I basically included the cycling part, because so at least I got for 1 day of rest for my arms, and so that's the only reason why cycling is in there. But I'm always also looking for other parts like Pilates or something like that, And yeah, that's just like what I do currently. As I just said, it's a transition. It's not already the ideal thing, but I'm just trying to figure it out more and more, like what's good and what's not. And I think that is the thing that matters mostly, and this is what is like my main message here in this video. Like, do what you're capable of, do what you are familiar with, and then slowly make the transition. Because of course you could research like 7 different sports that are like balancing each other perfectly out, and then you're like all set up for forever. But firstly, it would take a lot of time to research that, and secondly, the thing is that you might not like it's like the first time I did boxing, like on this video, it was like, damn, I can't even figure this out. So it's so many new impressions to your body. It can be really overwhelming. So just go one step at a time, and then you're good to go. And I think it's really important to not only focus on one thing. So if you're currently, I don't know, only playing tennis, and I mean, if you want to only play tennis, like, do that. But I think from a big picture point of view of your whole life, and you want to live as long as possible, as healthy as possible, and you want to be, in terms of your performance, as complete as possible, I think it's better to mix it up a little bit, and that's what I'm trying to do here. I think that's the best thing to do for you as well. So stay healthy, keep doing sports, and on Friday will come a vlog that's like the old ones, well edited, even more improved as always, and I will see you guys there.